We're on there. We're rolling. Hey, welcome to Week 4 podcast cast of Coach J's Gridiron, BBQ and North Texas Football. As always, with my co-host, Rudy Hawkins.
Sir.
It's good to be here.
It is good.
Kind of an unusual night. It's Monday versus Wednesday. And you don't see any smoke going, and, we don't have any special guests or treat. It's a hard week on the old man. Homecoming and holiday. Big time's going to be had. Wednesday night, they're having a parade downtown or through town, and then, bonfire and pep rally.
Seemed like a pretty good time to sell some barbecue.
And it is a great time for Coach J's Gridiron Barbecue, and I'll be set up at the city park, I believe, Wednesday. Me and Miss Tammy will be there. We're going to have barbecue sandwiches, pulled pork or chopped beef. We'll have sliders, macaroni, brisket macaroni. We're going to have those waffle cones with macaroni, and I need to feed you one of those, and brisket stuffed down in it with barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
It's a good flavor. And then I'm going to, hopefully, I get time worked out, I'm going to have party ribs. And so come by and see me, get some ribs, get some barbecue, whatever. Have a great time and enjoy coming home to be an Eagle. Be a good time.
Well, I know for a fact that the party ribs are worth going over and getting if you have them.
Yeah. So
we had those a couple of weeks ago on the show, and, man, those were really, really good.
Hopefully next week we get back to our normal behavior, but it had to be rushed, football season going by fast. And so we're doing Wednesday night on Monday to broadcast early on Tuesday so we can sell barbecue on Wednesday and play football on Thursday and Fridays.
Yeah, it's amazing what week we're already in. I couldn't be here Wednesday as well. I'm doing a deal with the basketball officials and coaches for a coach meeting. So that just knows that basketball's around the corner.
It's right
we're
around
already
the corner.
getting close to district time in all the districts around here.
Last week I said it. It's time to start putting things together so get something going into the district contest because they're going to be here quickly. Lots of teams are ready to start for open week because a lot of teams need them because they're beat up.
Yeah. Well, you think about it a lot of times. I mean, what week are we going into? 4?
Week 4.
So a lot of people don't realize you're going into your 4th game, but you've had 2 scrimmages and you've had 2 weeks of practice where you banged on each other. So it's been a long haul to this point.
Well, that's what I told my wife the other day. Said, babe, realistically, we're halfway through with regular season. She said, how's that make sense? I said, if you go back to when we started August 3rd or August 2nd, whatever day it was, to now, I mean, if you count the weeks, we're really at the halfway mark, even though we haven't played a full slate of games yet.
Yep. So you're always looking forward to that off week to kind of get healed up and get ready. And I always knew that meant, district was right around the corner. And, that's when you need to have your kinks out, your positions kind of hollowed in, and everybody's fine-tuning and getting ready for the new wrinkles. I always like seeing the new wrinkles that teams put in for district that you don't see in non-district, so you never know what to expect on that first district game.
When Cisco was so good, Coach West would practice stuff all season and save it for whoever he thought was the best opponent. So it's a really interesting time of year. I'm looking forward to open week. And, we've got a game Friday in Iowa Park against the Mustangs. We'll get to that. But that open week Saturday, I believe I'm going to go to Rotan, Texas, and pretend like I'm dove hunting and sit out under a tree in a lawn chair and enjoy life.
Yeah, you can't beat that. That'll be a good time.
Maybe go to Coach Ball's Cook Shack and fire up a steak or something. That'll be a dang good time.
I bet so.
So we're going to pretend. My son Jax wanted me to start a new question session on this, and when we have coaches on, we'll probably ask them. But we were talking in our pregame warm-up here about superstitions that we did before every football game on Friday night. And everybody's different. Some people are the same. Some people like to wear the same socks. I hated the kids that wouldn't wash their socks. I always thought that was the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
Oh, those are my lucky socks. Well, they stink.
Yeah. For sure.
And you were telling me, what was yours?
Man, my coaches that work for me will know this, but I was a big deal on the Phil Collins In the Air Tonight. I would play that all the way up to the drum part, and after the drums on that, then we were allowed to go out. But we weren't going to go out before the drum section was hit on In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. And I don't know, just something about that song. It's just kind of a slow start and smoothing, and then the drums going, and just kind of just got me ready to go out there and go to the game. So, I had that. That was one for sure that I always did. And then I was a little superstitious. I know one year we kind of got on a roll. We were wearing shorts and for some non-district games, and we kind of got on a run there in district, and we just stayed in the shorts when it started getting cold. And but we still would wear the shorts just because we were on a win streak and we didn't want to change anything up. So
I get that.
Some of that
don't
type
ever
stuff,
break a streak.
You can't break a streak on something like that. So if it had anything to do with it, probably not. But sure wasn't going to be me that broke that win streak.
It was mental. With me, my first game, I've said it before, we played Fort Stockton on a Saturday, and that Saturday drug, because I hate waiting on the game to start. So it was Saturday evening, and we were waiting. I started playing Spider Solitaire on my computer. And it's like early 2002, 2001, somewhere in there. Can't remember. And I finally won, and back then on the laptops, it would say after you won, the cards would go to shaking and said you won in big letters. Well, we left, to go, and I just left it up on my computer and it said you won. I got back to the office that night and moved my mouse and it said you won. That's pretty cool. The next week we got beat, and I hadn't played solitaire. So after that, every Friday before a game, at some point, I was going to play Spider Solitaire on that computer and play until we won. And the thing was, there was a couple of times the bus was loaded and we're supposed to be leaving. I'm in there playing Spider Solitaire so I could get you one before we could leave. And I don't do it on the computer now, but first thing I do every Friday morning is play Spider Solitaire on my phone till I get you win. And it was psychological. I mean, sometimes you win on the first try and you're like, oh, it's going to be an easy game tonight. Sometimes it take you all day. And, oh, no, it's going to be a hard game. So,
I also had another thing. I'm an alumni, Owl Park alum. So, the Hawk was always sentimental to us. And numerous times I live out kind of in the country. So when I was driving to work, a lot of times I'd see Hawks a lot. And it's never failed that every time I saw a Hawk on a Friday, we'd usually win that game. So it was always one of those things of where, we thought, if I'm driving to work or on Friday to a game and I saw a Hawk anytime on a Friday, I was always looking for them because I was like, oh, if we see a Hawk, we're going to win,
I would have had a hard time finding a wolf in Texas.
yeah, that was going to be tough.
I can find a Hawk now.
You're a alum.
I see a bunch.
Yeah.
I'm not an alum. I'm an active part of the organization.
That's right. I forgot about that. They moved you on up from the junior high to the high school, huh?
Yeah, I'm in charge of painting the field and mowing.
Well, that's good when it's turf.
It's turf. It's a good job. Yeah, I take care of the turf. If it needs to be watered, I water it. Needs to be painted, I paint it. So far, I haven't had to do anything. So it's a really good job.
Well, that's good. Well, you one weekend as an assistant on the high school team, and you got a big win over in Burke in a rivalry game.
Technically,
it's because you were moved up.
No, we played as a team, and it was sure great to see it. I hope I'm helping, but the coaches get way too much credit, way too much blame. The kid executed. They played hard, and everything just kind of came together the other night. And I felt like we were starting to put together a complete game. And I'm really proud of the boys. Of course, that's the first game I've won as a Hawk since 1982. So it's been a while.
Been a couple years.
It's been a while, and my track record with the Burke Burnett Burke Burnett Bulldogs as a player wasn't very good. So I was definitely glad to get a win at Burke.
Yeah, always a great atmosphere out there in Burke on Friday nights.
Yeah, and definitely
especially Iowa Park Burke.
Yeah, the oldest rivalry in Texoma. I learned that on the TV show the other night.
Yep, I saw that as well. I think I saw that on maybe Game Day or one of those sideline sports. One of those two had it on there, and they had all the game. I thought that was pretty cool research.
Who does that? I mean, we should.
Yeah.
Who has time?
Right.
We might as well jump ahead. Speaking of oldest rivalry, a new rivalry. Be the first time the City View Mustangs and the Iowa Park Hawks have played.
Yeah, and this is a game that we were always trying to get to at City View. We always wanted to play Iowa Park because we were so close, but we were kind of building a program, and at the same time, Iowa Park was making their state semifinal runs and things like that. We just didn't feel at that point in time that it would be a good game for us, for our kids at that time. But we kind of looked, me personally looked, I thought a lot of Coach Sims when he was over there at Iowa Park and how they did things over there. So we always wanted to get to that point where we could start playing those guys, and they got on a schedule this year, and I think it's going to be a great game. It's definitely a measuring stick for City View to be able to go over to Iowa Park and see that atmosphere that they're going to get to see. That's an atmosphere that, like we kind of talked about Burke, but Iowa Park's atmosphere at their place is second to none as well. So it's going to be a great game.
I think, it's something I loved growing up. I loved the stadium at Iowa Park.
Yeah, it's very unique, and they got a lot of tradition there.
Yeah, and a lot of great memories for a bunch of people. I love the stadium. I set the measuring stick. My stadium at Colorado City was a whole lot like it, and that's one of the things that led me to go to that town because my stadium was so similar.
City View played in Vernon this past week, got a big win out there in a very similar stadium.
Almost identical.
They're going to feel like they're probably, when they walk in, they're going to probably feel very similar to like they did at Vernon. I think both of those fields have a lot of similarities with the rocks, and both of them have a lot of tradition on those fields as well.
City View's 2-1 coming into the game. Very easily could have been 3-0. Very easily.
Yeah. I watched a little bit of that game on YouTube at the end of that game, and they definitely had their chances. Sometimes
the difference between 3-0 and 1-3, or whatever, is not very much. And extra point, a field goal, a fumble here.
Yep.
Missed first down. One mistake. So.
And that's basically what that was. But that's hats off to Windthorst for making the plays when they had to, and getting out of there, escaping out of there with a win. But losing to Windthorst's team, we talk about it a lot. I think a lot of times a loss can help you.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of those losses that down the road, Coach Aldridge and his staff is going to really be able to go in there and say, you know what, we did this and this. If we clean that up, that's going to be a win. And I think they'll definitely use that to their advantage.
Apparently they did use it to their advantage, coming off a great win in Vernon, and coming into that game, and of course I didn't know about the injuries in Vernon, but doesn't really matter. You still got to play the game with what you got. I would have picked Vernon, even though last week I did pick City View.
Oh, there you go.
I went out on a limb and said I'm going to go with City View, and they won, sure enough. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably did not pick them to win that game with Vernon coming off 2 big wins and kind of rolling people up. And but I'm impressed about the 7 points, and I know the quarterback was out, and so that means a little bit. But the 35-point scoring is a big deal against
City View
that Vernon.
played well, especially the first half of the ball game. They just kind of played whatever they wanted to, and and it is also the time of the season that you're starting to figure out who's legitimately good and you never know how the schedule is going to come out when you schedule people. You think, well, they were pretty good last year. Let's see what they're like this year. And
Yeah, because teams are totally different. Dynamics change.
Dynamic
Graduation.
leadership.
Yeah, I mean, you lose a kid a locker room guy that might not have been a real good player but kept the locker room together. Those guys are very beneficial to programs, and you just never know who's going to be that next guy, who's going to step up, who's going to be that leader in the locker room type thing. So, it's always good to see, and it's always good to see those teams that continue to improve that might not be the best, or they might have played a really, really tough schedule in a non-district compared to somebody that's kind of played a lighter schedule and they feel a little bit better about themselves, but when it comes time to get ready, then they're not ready.
Well, and that was always my measure stick. I always looked first game of the year versus last game of the year. Did my team improve and how hard they played in each of those games? And if I could answer yes, they improved and yes, they're playing hard, I felt like I had a successful season. And right now, I'd say City View's got a successful season going. I can see in the Iowa Park Hawks, I'm not the big chief, but I'm an Indian, and I feel like we're improving. And I saw great strides this week, and I'll be a great night. I'm gonna pick the Hawks because that's who I am. I'm a Hawk. And
I never hardly ever pick against Iowa Park, and I'm really not picking against them. Again, I'm kind of I'm in kind of friendly fire, but I'm going to go
land on your pick.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things. I'm going to just say City View. A lot of those kids were my kids that played for me, so those kids mean a lot to me. The issue with that is I have a lot of my son had a lot of friends over there, and a lot of those guys are at my house a lot. So
that's the crazy thing about today's world versus the world I grew up in. That social media has allowed the kids to know each other from different towns and become friends. And of course, your son's in a little different situation, but when I was growing up, I didn't know the kids from Burke. I just knew they were from Burke, and I was supposed to hate them.
Right. Yeah. Social media has changed that. These kids all know each other going in, and they talk to each other all week and everything else. But so any given weekend or any given day at my house will be 3 or 4 City View kids and 3 or 4 Iowa Park kids.
Yeah, and
they all get along. They all have a good time.
A bunch of kids play travel ball together different stuff. So it's a different world, but
it's going to be a fun game. This is a game that I'm going to go to. This is kind of my game of the week. I'm going to go watch.
It's going to be mine too.
Yeah, I bet you're there.
I bet I'm going to be there. I'm actually looking forward to it. When we won Friday night, I was ready to play them Saturday.
Yeah,
just to keep it rolling.
Yep, that's right.
All right, but we're going to move on from that game, go up to the bigger school. Andrews 1-2 coming in to Wichita Falls to play Memorial 2-1.
Yeah, Memorial's only loss is like 66-48 to Friendship.
And they had a couple kids out that game.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what, I watched Friendship this past week for a half out at the stadium, and those guys are really good.
Yeah.
They barely lost to Byron Nelson, who had beat Southlake last year.
Could very easily be 3-0.
And got beat in the 4th round by Southlake last year. So, but Friendship's got a really good quarterback and 2 really good receivers, one going to TCU, one going to Texas Tech, and they were legitimately good. The quarterback's very elusive, has a good arm. So losing to that Friendship team, getting a normal loss, I don't think Andrews is going to have an answer for the Memorial run game. And then, when you have to pack the box, you know how that was. I think that's going to open up Joe Castles in the second half. I think he's going to have a big night, and Memorial is going to roll on to 3-1.
Andrews is a long ways away, too.
It is a long ways.
Now, Andrews has enough money they can probably fly. I don't know. The rich school district, but I'm going to pick Memorial. Legacy 0-3 at Randall. 3-0. Heck, it's probably already snowing in Amarillo or Canyon.
Yeah, and I tell you, Legacy is really beat up. Talk about one of those teams that really need a bye week to come. They've had probably the hardest schedule to this point to anybody almost in their classification.
Yeah.
I don't see people playing the teams that they've played to this point, and having to go all the way to Canyon and visit undefeated Randall team and shorthanded on top of that. I just think Randall's going to have too much for them, and hopefully Legacy can get healthy by the time district comes around and start, playing some teams.
A good barbecue slider would probably help.
That probably would.
Sliders with the Dr. Pepper, that's pretty tasty.
Yep, that's for sure.
I'll throw in a plug for barbecue.
There you go.
You can get some Wednesday night right up here in town.
I might have to come over Wednesday and get some.
Wednesday, get there early. The lines will be long. Get there when the parade's going out. Well, I got practice first. Get there as soon as I pull up. You come on.
Follow you
in.
Speaking of
Randall,
the parade. Oh yeah, you hadn't made a pick.
Why do I have Burke? Oh, I'm gonna pick Randall, but I'm my heart says Legacy.
For sure.
We'll get. Legacy just got to look past the injuries and say we got to get well enough for district and surprise some people. And hopefully
they got to get healthy. They're really banged up right now.
Speaking of banged up, Bark 1-2 at Holiday 2-1. If you don't know anything, Holiday's a sure winner, and I'm going to pick them anyway. But Holiday's another team that's pretty banged up. They've had bad injury bugs. I mean, not little bumps and bruises and I'm sore. ACLs and broken legs and high ankle sprains. That.
And a high ankle sprain's like a broke. It's better to be broke. Really, a lot of times I've heard that. A high ankle sprain you just assume to be a fracture because you're going to be back sooner on that. But yeah, they've had a tough go for sure.
They're still successful doing it, but last Friday they had both their starting linebackers out by the end of the game, and that's tough on any team
for sure.
And, but
I still think they got. I think they have enough. I think they have enough to get through another week.
I don't know if Bart Burnett can handle their run game. I don't know if they can handle their passing game after what we did with them last week. So I'm gonna pick Holiday. Get them a good homecoming win and start celebrating. They're celebrating already homecoming, but Wednesday night's a great night for barbecue.
I watched that game on YouTube with Munster, who has a really good football team. I think they have a chance to win that whole thing in their classification this year. But I was really impressed with the Holiday quarterback, Hunter Jones. Is it Hunter Jones? Yeah.
But he throws a good ball.
He throws a good ball, and what I was impressed with is how he stays in the pocket and makes that throw, and then he's pretty elusive in there, but he steps up in the pocket, and I think he's a good one.
He shows great composure. The little I've seen of him,
yeah, he looked good in that Munster game. So,
and he's a smart kid. Just being around him when I was still working, and then watching him in a scrimmage. He understands what's going on. I'm not sure all quarterbacks do.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think he's smart enough that he's got things figured out. And sure, it's nice to have that guy back there for you.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a big year.
I'm sure he's made some mistakes, but he doesn't seem like he makes many.
Yeah, he does a good job with the ball.
He does. Decatur 1-2 at Graham 2-1. A little misleading on the record. Decatur plays a tough schedule.
Yeah, for sure they do. And, Graham had a hiccup there against Springtown, which they just seem to always kind of have. Springtown kind of has their number, especially in Springtown, which is the game they lost.
It's hard to play in Springtown.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
And, I think they came back. I think Adam had said something like they had one play Whitesboro had one play of like 48 yards, and they had 68 total yards.
Yeah.
So, like the rest of the night, they had about 20 yards of offense. So, that Graham defense is always legit, and I think that's going to be the difference in this game. But I think this game is going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's kind of a rivalry game.
Yeah. Both programs that know how to win.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to take Graham in a close one at home.
Me too, mainly because Arrington's there.
Yeah, they just keep overcoming. That D-line keeps overcoming.
Arrington, he just cracks me up. So I've got to go with Arrington and the Graham Steers. And All right, we talked City View, Iowa Park. Frederick Bombers 0-2. That's what I have their record as. Versus the Vernon Line 2-1.
Yeah, Frederick. We played those guys numerous years. Coach Tyler out there is a friend of mine, and they do a really good job out there. They just barely lost last seconds of the game to Childress last week in Frederick. The Bomber Bow is a really cool place to play. A lot of these two towns know each other really well.
Yeah, it's a kind of a state rivalry.
Yeah, and a lot of back in the day when Frederick was winning all the state championships, quite a few of the Vernon boys were part of those state championship teams.
Yeah, the transfer
Frederick.
portal sometimes is open.
Yeah, but I think Frederick 0-2 is kind of deceiving. They, like I said, they played really tight with Childress, so I don't know. I'm still thinking on this one.
Is Vernon quarterback going to be back?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't either. I'm going to pick Vernon mainly because it's Texas. I just can't pull for Oklahoma. I'm not an Oklahoma fan. I'm not an OU fan. I like going to Oklahoma. I love going to Bricktown, but I'm not going to pick them in a game.
Yeah, Coach Tyler is a great friend of mine, and but they're big Sooner fans. So I mean I just can't get myself to go against a
I like
Texas
Oklahoma
team.
State when they're playing somebody else but if they play a Texas Tech or UT or North Texas, I'm pulling for a Texas team because I'm born and raised Texan.
That's right. I'm going with Vernon on this one as well. I know Coach Tyler listens to this podcast, but
I do think y'all's Bomber's cool.
The Bomber is cool. The Bomber Bow is really cool. This is being played in Vernon. And if it was playing in the Bomber Bow, I'd probably lean towards Frederick. But since it's going to be at Vernon, and I think Vernon's going to be a little hot after this past week with City View, so I think they're going to come out with it.
Yeah, I imagine they had a come to Jesus meeting.
Yeah.
Kind of a tent revival.
It's kind of one of those things, I think it's going to be a loss that fuels Vernon a little bit. And
well, and not knowing anything about the team, not being there, sometimes you get to reading your own press and you start feeling pretty good about life. And it don't take long to somebody that doesn't read your press.
Yeah, and when you're the one been punching and you hadn't been punched back yet, that's a big difference. And sometimes when you haven't had that happen, you get punched in the mouth and you really weren't sure what to do with it, So
I never quite understood Coach Ball when he was my high school coach. He never said it to the team, but he kind of told Brant, and Brant would tell us. He said, I like this team because they're stupid. They can't read the papers. They don't know if they're good or bad. They just play football.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes you read that paper and you get to thinking you're pretty good. Bowie 2-1 at Dublin. The Dublin Dr. Pepper's 0-3. They're not Dr. Pepper's. They can't sell them there anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Man, I like what Bowie's doing out there. They're pretty close to being a 3-0 team. Yep. Just a couple of calls here or there, like we talked about earlier. It's just they're a player or two away from being 3-0. I think Coach Price and those guys, Coach McCoy out there, all that crew's doing a really good job. And it just goes back to that. You have a little success, you win a game or two, and it just starts bleeding, and the kids start believing in themselves a little bit more. And I think Bowie's going to go to Dublin and get a big win there on the turf in Dublin.
I'm gonna say Bowie's going to hop to 3-1. They're rabbits.
They are rabbits, so they can hop.
Rabbits.
Yeah, I like Bowie.
Little history lesson. I can't. I'm drawing a blank. Was it Eamon Carter that they founded Chicken and Bread Day out there on?
No, but don't give me lines.
Well, the story is, I think it was Eamon Carter. When the trains would pull into town, he would sell chicken and bread sandwiches to people on the train for a meal. That's how he made a living. But supposedly it wasn't actually chicken; it was rabbits, and I'm not sure if that's how they become the Bowie Jackrabbits or not. I mean, that's better than the Bowie chickens.
Yeah, could not pull off.
I've heard that the original chicken and bread was rabbit and bread, and people just were hungry. Don't know that to be true. I'm not from Bowie, but it sounds
interesting fact. We went to do a fact check on that.
Yeah, no. If I was running for president, would they? Yeah, there'd be a lot of people fact checking me. Now, I can't run for president, but if I did, I would. My first platform is no more time change.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No more.
That messes.
We're gonna pick a time and we're gonna stay with it.
That's right.
Other thing is, if you can't park, which would probably cause my license to be suspended, if you can't park between the yellow lines in a parking lot, you can't drive that vehicle.
Oh.
Which would probably get me today, because that truck, sometimes I look out and, dang, I'm not even close. All right. Jacksboro 3-0 at Jim Ned Indian, who's 1-2, but very easily could be 3-0. They lost by a point against Wall the other day, and they lost another close one.
And that's a Wall team that played, Brownwood pretty good too. So Jim Ned always fields a really good football team. Man, I think Jacksboro with the the kid Hunt, I think his last name is Sam Hunt, maybe?
I don't know.
Running back, and then the Valenzuela kid, who's just a complete animal out there as a wide receiver. I mean, he's a matchup nightmare. Somebody had told me the other day he committed Division I somewhere.
Yeah, the Tigers are definitely on the prowl.
Yeah, and so they were running a 2-quarterback system. I don't know if they still are or not. They were kind of deciding on what they wanted to do. But apparently they're playing pretty good football right now. And
well, if I was in the Abilene area this weekend, I would go to that game.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a great one. I'm thinking the Tigers are going to be 4-0 quickly.
Yeah, I think the Tigers are a team to be reckoned with this year, especially in the district and on. I think that they had a taste of a pretty good run last year, and they're going to continue to build on that.
Which I still think Jim Ned will give them a fight. I don't think it's going to be an easy game. I think it may come down to mistakes, but I give Jacksboro the edge right now.
Yeah, Jim Ned's been in plenty of big games, so they're definitly accustomed to that.
Going back to the holiday injuries, I want them to heal up. And when district rolls around, I want Holiday and Jacksboro to have a great matchup. And same way, I think the Mustangs have a chance to be a great spoiler to either one of those teams, just because of their speed.
Yeah, you can kind of set back. They would love to kind of lurk behind them and let those two get all the praise and everything, and then try to come in there and knock one of them off or both of them off.
Well, what would help them do that is if they lose to us, where people take them for granted, that would, if they lose to the Hawks this Friday, they're not that good. So, City View people just.
That's one thing that I applaud Coach Aldridge doing is he knew that this year, next year are good teams that's coming through, and so he went out and
he's playing a schedule.
He's playing a schedule to get them ready for it. When you open up Bridgeport, and then you got Windthorst, then you go to Vernon, and you go to Iowa Park, and then you play. I think they go to Childress.
Yeah.
So they're going to be road tested. There's not going to be anything that can confuse them or something they haven't seen.
No, they just got to stay healthy.
It's got to stay healthy as
through
well.
The gauntlet, and boy, it changes. Injuries just change the dynamics of a team so much. There's been times I wanted a kid to sprain an ankle. He needs to sprain an ankle and be well next week, but I don't want him well this week. But boy, I hate permanent injuries or season-ending injuries.
It's awful.
That's for any kid, no matter who.
No matter who they play for.
Yeah. So, go with Jacksboro Tigers. Seymour 1-2 at Henrietta 1-2.
Man, this is a tough one. Seymour. They lose. They lose. One of their games is lost to Albany and Coach Faith out there with those guys. So that's a loss you don't worry about. And then they turn around and they lose to Hamlin, who Coach Bodis out there. Jason Bodis is a buddy of mine. He does a really good job out there as well.
And Hamlin's got a tradition.
And I remember when Coach Ritchie was in here, when we were talking about that game, the Hamlin Seymour game, he said, well, don't count Hamlin out. He saw him on film, and he really felt like they had a group that could go compete with Seymour. So with that being said, Henrietta, flip side, got their first win with the new regime. Congratulations, Jay, out there at Henrietta for his first win at Henrietta. So This game at Henrietta, I think.
Yeah, at Henrietta.
Okay. Yeah. So,
boy, to me, it's almost a pick 'em.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a game that it kind of. I know we keep saying it, but that's just how football is. It's least mistakes, turnovers. I think turnovers can be key. Seymour's going to air it out, throw it all over the place. Henrietta's going to throw it.
They've got
all
a couple.
over the
They've
place
got a
as
couple
well.
cats.
So this game might be a game that plays till about 11:30 or 11:45 at night.
Yeah, you probably go watch this or go watch a game in your hometown and then drive over to Henrietta and catch the fourth quarter.
Yeah, because they're both going to sling it around the field. So if you're an offensive guy, you like a lot of passing, this is definitely a game to go to. But yeah, I think this is a coin flip game right here. I really don't have a favorite in this game. I think they're both. I think Seymour really needs that win just to kind of get their things going. But neither team wants to be 1-3.
No.
Going in, after 4 games, 2-2, rather than 1-3, that's a big difference. I know it's one game, but it's a big difference to feel 2-2.
Well, eventually, I mean, we're getting close to district. You want to get that confidence going.
Yep.
You want to get better. You want to get healthy. But you want to get some confidence going and play with confidence. And that makes a tremendous difference when you believe you can win versus I hope we can win.
Yep.
And
you gonna have a pick in it?
I've been picking Seymour, and just because I love their head coach, but I feel like I'm picking every time I pick him, I kind of put the curse on him. So I'm going to pick Henrietta, which means Seymour will win.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of I have some coaches call me and they're like, "Man, I can't believe you picked against us." I'm like, "Well, sometimes it's good when we pick against you."
Yeah.
Because I don't know what our records are on these picks.
Mine's not very good.
I don't think we're very good.
I'm probably 500.
Yeah, maybe.
Sometimes I pick people just because they're fans by my barbecue. I mean, and I get that.
I hear you. It makes sense. What we got next?
Archer City came over 2 or 3 times and played tennis last spring over here, and they bought barbecue every time they come. So I love Archer. There are people buy my barbecue. Winthor's 2-1 at Alvord 0-3. Winthor's coming off a huge loss.
Yeah, but to a very, very good,
very good team. No doubt about it.
And that game was really close midway through the third quarter. I'm not sure what happened there in the middle of the third. But it was a back and forth game. I almost left to drive over there, and then I saw where Munster kind of broke it open a little bit before I left Memorial Stadium to go out there.
I know sometimes when you're behind and you're running out of time, you got to do some things you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And if it works, great. You're a better coach. If it doesn't work, it leads to another touchdown.
Yeah.
And I don't know that to be happening, but I
think they're going to be.
Winthorst is going to rebound.
They're going to rebound.
They're going to be 3-1. Alvord's going to be 0-4.
I would like to look back and see. I'm going to bet that staff at Winthorst has not lost back-to-back games in a long time. I might have to call Tackett and ask him.
I'm going to bet that it's been 11 years, 12.
Yeah, I think it's been a long time. I think that staff out there does a great job of getting their kids rebound after a loss.
I bet it's been at least a decade.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I might do a little research on that one.
Yeah.
That might be a Zach Duncan question.
Yeah, Hull would know it probably.
Yeah.
But Duncan probably more so because he researches so much. All right. No Kona, 1-2 at Archer City. Well, I've already said I got to pick Archer because they buy my barbecue. Archer's not bad. They're winning some ball games.
They are. And Nakona got their first win last week, so they got a little momentum going in. Nakona's another team that's been hit by the injury bug. I think they're on their third string quarterback right now and have been really banged up. But they came through, had some early turnovers last week. Probably should have won that game a lot more if they don't do that after talking to Coach Krutzinger. I actually talked to him today. And so I think this is going to be a very competitive game. But Coach Ritchie came to our show, took the time out, came over here, had a little dinner with us, talked football. I'm going to go with Archer City in this one.
You know, they're not in our coverage area, but a lot of teams play them. I heard Paradise got beat this past weekend, and I heard they not only have lost their first quarterback, they lost their second one. They've got a sophomore playing now that hadn't played football since he was in 8th grade, and you know that definitely changes your dynamics and anybody. You know, I always told my kids if somebody get hurt, you stay with us. Look, we're going to get this guy better, and just y'all help him out, and y'all play better around him and cover him up, and hopefully some of these teams with the injuries will get that way. But Archer, I think the Wildcats are going to get another win. Hamlin 2-1. We kind of touched on them against the 3-0 Monday Moguls.
How about that? Monday at Moguls 3-0. The world must be getting back to right. The Monday Moguls. Coach Langston out there. Yeah, I've talked about him on this show numerous times. How good a job he's been doing out there and getting those kids going and getting kids come out. This will be their first true test here. You know, they scheduled right. They to kind of get some momentum.
It's one of those things. Well, they haven't played anybody. Well, yeah. If you look at the record the last couple of years, they're doing a tremendous job. They have played people because they haven't had that 3-0 start in.
That's right. And I tell you one other thing about it, though, is the teams that they've played, if you can say, well, they hadn't played anybody, they've beat those teams the way you should beat those teams. Like, it wasn't barely squeaking by.
They're winning.
They're beating teams by quite a few points. But, yeah, they're in a tough district.
I would imagine it's a pretty good – I mean, they're not that far apart. Hamlin's not that far from
Yeah, that's not far.
I'm going to bet – who are you picking?
Man, both of these coaches are really good dudes. I'm pulling for Monday at Monday. I really feel, and that's just a heart thing, I really think Hamlin's probably the better team coming in. But I'm just pulling for Coach Langston because he's had a hard job out there. That's been a hard turnaround, and this is his second year. So he's turned it around pretty quick.
Yeah.
I just think that sometimes I talked about it a little earlier. You're gonna get kind of punched. I'm curious to see because Hamlin's going to throw a haymaker. They're going to punch. And I'm going to see how Monday reacts to that. But it might be more of a learning experience for the Moguls this week, but I'm going to pull for them.
Well, I am too. I'm going to pick them. I think Monday's going to go 4-0.
There we go. That's on record.
On the record.
I hope you're right.
Now, this next game is a good one. Era 2-1 at Electra 3-0.
Homecoming week, I believe, at Electra as well. I think I saw that on some of their social media. I think Coach McKitty does some of the best social media stuff of keeping everybody informed and always pushing their kids out there. I always feel like I know what's going on in Electra at all times by following them on social media. But I like Electra in this one. I think Electra's got talking about another coach. Like last year, the Krutzinger group at Nakona the last 2 years been doing a really, really good job out there. And I thought you saw the start turning with Electra last year. And I think he went out and hired a really good staff, put a really good staff together. And I can say that Peyton Jackson is his DC out there. And, he played for me, so he's got to know something, right?
I won't hold that against Peyton. But, I think he's a good coach.
Yeah, but, Coach McKitty's helped him a lot, with some of that defensive stuff. And I just think that those guys out there they've got something going right now. And that's another team that some people might say, well, they really hadn't played a lot yet. But they've also been beating the teams that they need to beat the way they should have beat those teams. And but I like their athleticism that they have out there. I like how they play defense, attacking defense, and get after you. And so I'm going to go with the Tigers in this one.
Well, I am too. But every time I pick against Era, they win. But so I don't want to put the kiss of death on the Tigers, but I think it's the year of the Tigers. So I'm gonna pick Electra. Ought to be a small school game, but it ought to be worth going out driving to Electra and going watching. I think it'll be a good one.
Going to talk a little bit. We kind of went over the Owl Park. One of their losses. Their schedule's been tough too.
Mm-hmm.
Pampa, right, and then Mineral Wells.
Mineral Wells is a whole lot better than they have been.
Yeah, and I think
Coach Worrell has done a tremendous job.
Those guys are 3-0 out there right now at Mineral Wells. I probably would love to know the last time that they've been 3-0. But when I was out there watching the Owl Park game, I was just they have weapons. That's a pretty good football team, and those guys have done a good job out there. And I think they're going to end up being 4-0. So sometimes you look at some losses it's to some teams, and you realize what those teams are still doing.
And what bothered me the most about, and this is from a coach's standpoint, we graded when we got back Saturday morning after that loss. We graded effort. We didn't grade the other stuff, which is hard to take out of your head when you're grading a film and all you're really caring about is effort. What is effort? Then with my brain, it starts like, well, he didn't do the right thing. Is that effort, or is that a mental mistake, or is that me not coaching him right? Which it goes a lot of stuff, but they're a good team. What always disappoints me in the loss, if we get beat, we get beat, but don't beat ourselves. And I'm not saying we would have beat Mineral Wells one way or another, but a lot of time we beat ourselves by not taking care of our own business.
Yeah,
we learned from it. I mean, we sat down and watched film with the kids and said, hey, this is why we've got to do it this way. You find the plays that work. All right, look, we executed this. They got 0 yards. We made the tackle on the line of scrimmage. This is the next play to the other side. We did not execute it the same way. We got too far upfield. We left a gap. They got an 8-yard run. It was a learning thing.
Yeah.
But they're a heck of a team.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing I'm ready for, and that's cooler weather.
A lot of people say that. I'm 90 degrees. I'm happy.
Oh no!
Right now, these daggone flies, I got buzzing.
I'm ready for to get back there again and get the
fire
heater
pits
going, the fire pits going, and really kind of enjoying it out here and not being so hot. And I know it just feels more like football when you look in the stands and there's blankets.
Well, of course, I'm not a meteorologist, but I would be if they would offer me a job. I did take it in college, 1983. I took it because my brother had made an A in it, and Thomas flunked out at Tech. And I thought, well, it's got to be an easy class if my brother made an A and he flunked out. Turned out he liked to play cards and not go to class. But he liked meteorology. Thomas is kind of goofy like that. He always wanted to be a pilot and became one and ended up with his own airplane. But he liked weather patterns to know how to fly that airplane in. Who figured? Meteorology was a tough class. Yeah. But I think the weather pattern has moved back almost one complete month from when I was a kid. So September weather is more like what August weather was when I was in high school. And, because I remember our bonfire at our homecoming, it was chilly outside.
Cold.
We had it, like everybody, at the end of September, 1st of October. I remember my first year of coach, and of course it was in Plainview in the bottom of the Panhandle. But by October 1st, it was sweat weather. It wasn't. I remember going to junior high practice in the morning before school and being cold.
Yeah, and and a lot of coaches, and I know I was one. I like to, I like to do that senior night on the very first game, while everybody's usually healthy. It wasn't a district game. Yeah. I always try to do homecoming before district, just because I just didn't want all the stuff, all the distractions and the crownings and everything else like that. So it's like we also have football game this week, guys. So, but it always seemed like we played well on homecoming. So I always try to find one of the better games to use homecoming. I know some people use like teams that you think you should beat no matter what, but I always felt like our kids played really well on homecoming, so we tried to play somebody that we probably needed a little bit of extra. But we definitely wanted to find someone we thought we could beat, too, because you didn't want to lose homecoming.
I didn't want to have it early. I got to where I just picked a homecoming game based upon our band schedule. When it was contest and, because I wanted all the kids to be able to have a chance to be involved in all the activities in the holiday or Colorado City. So I'd start calling around as soon as I made the schedule and say, hey, I know it's early, but what are your band contest dates? When are your festivals? Let's get this worked out. All right, this is homecoming, and I loved homecoming. I still love homecoming. I'm excited that I get to go to Iowa Park's homecoming for the first time since 1984.
Yeah.
I might even go to that all-class reunion thing.
When is a homecoming?
I don't know.
I don't either. I might actually make.
But I'm going to be there. I do know that.
I was at homecoming a few years ago. Walked my daughter across for the ceremony. I was coaching a game at City View and left there at halftime. Hauled tail over to Iowa Park. Walked her across the field. Got back in truck. Hauled back over and finished the game over at City View.
Seemed like you were playing me, or I was there. Maybe I was open.
You might have been. Yeah, I might have been open and maybe came and scouted that game. But yeah, that was definitely a night I won't ever forget. But. Hey, we were all like under an hour.
Well, we got one more game to talk about.
Okay.
Chico, 1-2 at Petrolia, 2-1. Brad Blasting game on a 2-game win streak.
Yes, sir. Going to make it 3.
I'm gonna pick the Pirates.
Me too. My cousin's kid had a great play out at Tawana. Broke a kid's ankle out there. Caught a little pass out there on the side, and he juked the kid and he fell down, and then he took it to the house. So he come off the game before. He had 2 interceptions. One was a pick 6. So he's playing really well. I know they're having fun out there in Petrolia with Brad, and it was good for him to be able to come out here and visit with us last week.
It was. And Brad's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that you ask him to do something, I need a pair of boots for Friday night. He'll give you, if he's got a pair of boots, he'll give them.
Did y'all sing a song last week?
No, we talked about our karaoke,
Well, I just knew that we were going to have a song on that last week.
Well, he's a neon moon guy when you get right down to it. And he does, Of course, I've got that, that look.
Yeah, you got the charisma.
I got something. But Brad actually can sing pretty good. I try to slur the words and get the band or get the crowd with me. Yeah. And, if you get them loud enough, you can sing bad. And I only pick songs to sing that, you can Jeff Walker.
You got some chorus people in the stands can play or sing along with you.
Yeah, they know it, and everybody wants to yell it out. And,
those are the good ones. That's probably what I'd have to do because I sound like a hound dog if I try to sing.
Well, and then you got to have stage presence, of course.
Well, I'd have that.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I could play like an air guitar or something for your band if you ever start one.
I have won the class of 1983 karaoke contest 2 or 3 times. We tend to have one at every class reunion. Sometimes it's just me. But I got a trophy from I don't know, 94 or 93 when we had one. So it wasn't much of one. So yeah, we're under an hour. Next week we'll get back. We'll have special guests, and I almost feel bad about cutting this short, but with coaching football and cooking briskets and ribs and pork butts and getting it all ready, I can't put it all on my wife.
Yeah, and all you people going to homecoming for Wednesday night, make sure you go see Coach Jay's Gridiron Barbecue is going to be out there in his trailer, right?
Yeah.
And
right.
Where are you going to be at?
Right up here at City Park, kind of across from the new baseball fields, softball complex. Boy, that's nice. Holiday, I will give them this. They're spending our tax money wisely. The facilities are coming out great. The only thing wrong with them is I didn't get them.
Yep. But make sure you swing by and get that barbecue. It's well worth it. I think most of you people in a holiday already know how good it is.
Go out
because you sell out every time you cook. So
go support your hometown team. Support the team. Don't just yell at the coaches.
Yep. Get out and have a good time.
And for the kids.
Hopefully we'll get a weather break and it start feel a little more like football.
Yeah. Until next week, Mr. Hawkins, we will. Hopefully next week I'll be back in the cooking business. We'll have something to snack on.
Yep, and we'll have a little bit more talk about barbecue.
Yeah. I'm thinking shotgun shells.
We hadn't had those this year.
No, we haven't, and shotgun shells are worth having.
Somebody's going to be lucky, whatever coach gets picked.
I've been on kind of a pre-game, tailgating type of thing. So
you kind of have to. It's football.
Well, it
right?
is.
Tailgating and football and barbecue all go hand in hand.
Well, I tell you what, it does to me. You can't hardly beat a good barbecue on Friday. Unless you're coaching, sometimes you kind of overeat. But I will say this, Owl Park people, we're not losing weight at athletic contests. There's plenty of food to go around. And they fed us the other night after we worked Sunday, and the Booster Club fed us Sunday night, the Green and White Club, and that was nice of them. It was dang good. I didn't have to eat when I got home. I was full. So
it's always great to have those people that help out.
Yeah, it is, and so many towns have wonderful people like that. That anything they can do to help, and we appreciate y'all, all our booster clubs, and all that good stuff. So
until next week,
come see us.